Okay.
Yes.
So Mahatma Gandhi said that the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. With me today is a perfect example of that. Welcome on set, Njeri.
Thank you so much.
We are excited to have you. This is Ask the Expert, and here we want to focus specifically on sexual and gender-based violence, the different campaigns, the awareness, and generally what you do with Usikimye. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
All right. So the first question today is, who is Njeri?
That's always a very hard question to answer.
Yes.
It's interesting how when somebody asks you who you are, you're always like, who am I though? um, wow. I have answered this question so many times. Every time, I think there's that perspective of how do I say I am. The temptation to say I'm a mother is always the first thing, and I know that is not what I am. Only I am a lot of things to a lot of people and even to myself. Njeri is, I will lead with what I am first, which is I am passionate. I'm a passionate individual, especially when it comes to matters of sexual and gender-based violence. I am a feminist, a mom, a friend, yeah, a daughter, a cat mom, a feminist, but generally a passionate individual who wants to see change, who wants to see a Kenya free of violence.
Okay. And a Trekkie too.
Oh, you've really done your homework.
I have
Aye,
done
aye,
my
aye.
homework.
Nobody even ever knows even what that is. Yes, a Trekkie, a Hovian, and somebody who loves RPG.
What?
Yes.
I
Now you
did
see.
not see that one coming.
Yes, I know.
The actual RPG.
Yes, and an anime fan, yes.
Ah, well, now you have fans here. They just reacted. You have fans here.
I've been in the anime business for so long, since Cowboy Bebop, all the way to Jujutsu Kaisen, so I'm not new to this.
Ah, the guys behind the camera are very excited. They're very excited about what you just said. Okay, so
Anime is life.
okay, so on to the next question. We wouldn't honestly have a better feel of this if we didn't mention something small about Usikimye. So, for the sake of background and basics, how did it start?
Usikimye started in 2019. Isn't it interesting that we are sitting in the age of femicide when Usikimye started because of femicide? In 2019, Dr. Ivy Wangeshi was killed. And again, social media went nuts. And there was a lot of Katashaka jokes, which was very unfortunate. And that is where Kulafe started. In case you wonder, where Kulafe ilitoka wapi, it started with that. Because then there was a rumor that this man had sent Ivy money and Ivy had eaten his money, and so she deserved to die. And I think for the first time, I had been doing previously, before I'd been doing something called Survivors Anonymous, where I'd gathered survivors of GBV, and we were having mental health programs. And I met with Stella Kachina, who's my co-founder in Usikimye, and we sat down and we were like, what is happening? Are you seeing what is on social media? I mean, she inboxed me, and then we had a real conversation, and we said, can we start an online platform to teach people about the effects of this? Teach people what is femicide, to talk to people about all these things that are happening online. And that's how Usikimye was born. Literally, it was born as a Facebook page. We were not meant to become an organization. We just felt like there was need to educate people and tell people, stop this shenanigans. And as things are bound to happen, you teach people online, you don't really think that people outside of that, it's an abstract idea when it's online, right? But outside there, people are reading and people are understanding, and so people start reaching out, hey, I'm in this kind of a situation, could you help me? And then when you go to the ground, you realize, my goodness, the things you know from the books and what you think is your knowledge, your book knowledge, and what happens are two very different things. And so, because the kind of work I was doing at that point was flexible, sometimes I would go and help survivors. And that's how we started. A little, we are both working. We do not really want to be involved, but we are teaching people. Yeah, so by 2019, by 2020 when COVID happened, and then we were all at home and the explosions happened and we had no choice but to act on what we told people. You know, there's a time to act and then there is a time to be. And so when COVID happened, we were forced now to actually organize so that we could actually help the survivors who kept on calling us and who kept on reaching out to us. Yeah, so that's how we were born.
It's very interesting. I find that most of the time it's very difficult to have an idea in your head and actualize it. So in the process of all of this, how did you find your voice? Some people always had it. It just never had a way of coming out. Or some people eventually discover their own voice. How has it been for you? Did you always have it? Did you discover you had it? What happened?
I tell people, which is the truth though, and which my dad keeps on reminding me, that some of us, I think just was saying, were born great. Some had, greatness placed on them, and then some had greatness thrust on them. Some of us were not looking for any of this. I feel like for me, when I was even doing Survivors Anonymous, I've always been doing a little bit of GBV, but in the background, not in the forefront. So for me, like Survivors Anonymous was a way of giving back because I was finding my voice and my healing. And I thought, hey, how about I help others, come along with me on the journey. And I feel like for me, part of healing myself, I'm a survivor of GBV as well. And so part of the healing journey for me was to find a voice because I didn't have a voice. I completely lost a voice. I tell people I used to be very timid and nobody believes it, but I was. I used to be very, very timid. I was afraid to speak. I was afraid to speak up, and I think that actually tells you why it's called Usikimye, because for a very long time, we keep silent about matters of taboo. And I feel like part of leading Usikimye has been me also consistently finding my voice and consistently being able to speak up and reminding myself even in situations that you're like, should I or should I keep quiet? Should I just allow this to move or, yeah. So for me, I feel like that's part of speaking.
Okay. And there's just so many inequalities out there, so many problems that people are facing, so many mechanisms of oppression. But in particular, why did you focus on sexual and gender-based violence? Why couldn't it be poverty or health and sanitation? Why did it have to be sex and gender-based violence?
One, all oppressions is interconnected. All oppressions have intersections. Isn't it funny that poverty brings sanitation? Sanitation is also an effect of poverty. And sexual and gender-based violence sits primarily there on the apex. What you're saying, I'm sorry to bring back the femicide conversation. Do you know it's genocide then femicide? Did you know? When you look at the apex of violence, did you know? It's femicide, then you go to genocide. Because you normalize dehumanizing people. So now, when it comes to sexual and gender-based violence, for me, as a survivor, I keep saying I'm a survivor, it's important. It's something I know. It's also something, I wish I knew certain things. Like I wish I knew I could get help. I wish I knew there's a safe house. Those things you wish you knew, but you didn't have the knowledge. That is what I was. I was sitting in a place where I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't know. And I feel like for me, it was something, again, as I said, what if I tell people? And then how will people take this up? And I feel like because of that, I feel like being survivor-led is also different. Not everybody takes their experience and obviously makes them into something that they want to do. But that is how I feel like I walked into this, putting myself in the shoes of the people I get to meet, the people who I get to serve, and the people who I talk to. I feel like it's important when you're a survivor sometimes. Not every survivor, obviously, and not everybody who is in the GBV movement is a survivor of violence. But for me, that is the motive that led me into that space.
Okay, very, very inspiring. And perhaps it gives you focus?
Yeah, it also gives me a point of empathy, I believe. Yeah.
Okay, so you talked about femicide, and it was a very big thing. Usikimye posters were everywhere. Do you feel like the conversation has come down? Do you think that we have forgotten femicide? We showed up on the streets, we protested, and then what?
And then there are people moving things behind the scenes. And I believe that the conversation is not over. Because unfortunately, as far as yesterday, somebody just sent me a body of a dead woman. And I can't even start telling you how much underreporting there is when it comes to matters and issues of femicide. This is an issue of national concern. Going to the street was a way of us amplifying and bringing this issue into light so that people could have a greater understanding and to even know. And now there are things that need to be moved behind the scene. Like, for example, we want a law saying, aside from homicide, we want a specific law for femicide, because femicide is not the markers of, has different markers than homicide. If somebody comes and shoots us here, we're not going to start, Njeri is not going to say, oh my God, that was femicide. No. I mean, if you die in an accident, that's not femicide. If it's dangerous or reckless driving, that's not femicide. Femicide has specific markers that you look at. Even how the bodies are disposed, even how the killing occurs, who is doing the killing, all these things are part of us when we're looking at femicide. And you can't have something into law if there is no research, neither data to back it up. So when we declare this, we want certain things. We want a commission set aside to investigate and to look into matters of femicide and our law. And those things are not public. Those things are done behind the scenes. Of course, we are formulating documents. There are policies that are being done, that there are documents, petitions that are being sent to particular people, the executive, the legislature, the judiciary. What are we asking from the judiciary? We want to see specific, speedy processes on issues of gender-based violence, because you see, gender-based violence is what you're saying as femicide is a culmination of years of runaway gender-based violence. Because we've normalized it, right? It's a normal thing. It's a normal thing for me to post something and to have like 1,000 people come and comment and actually abuse me. You see, that language. Starts with, again, dehumanization of language. So when you set up something like that, you have to know how you're going to speak to all these various arms of government. So that's where we are at now.
Okay. Still sticking with the femicide theme, but let's pivot a bit. All of this comes down to humanity. We have gotten to the point where my life has been reduced to a slice of pizza. It has been reduced to bus fare, and sometimes even just a comment. Some statements, some words, they warrant my death. At its inception, did you ever think that Usikimye would become all of this? The kind of impact it is having on people today. I could be minding my own business. I have gotten onto social media, and then you find a post, and then it completely confuses you. Because with this whole femicide thing, it is very confusing. Trying to understand it, like you were saying, the research, trying to understand it is becoming insane. There's the whole part about you're looking at the different ages, how it's happening to people at different ages. And for instance, the most recent one being Social E, that was crazy. That was crazy, her age and everything. So the way that things are changing, right from 2019 all the way to now, the number of victims you've seen, the different categories, what would you say is leading to all of this? There is a lot of awareness, but at the same time, the cases are increasing.
Do you really think there's a lot of awareness? I feel like awareness is not there. I feel like the government, in its part, has failed. I grew up in the 80s, in the age of campaigning for AIDS. I was a child going to primary school. I don't even know when they were doing that, but I know I was a bit, I was just like a small, a wee child. And there was something the government was doing, and I keep on insisting on this because I think that thing stuck with me because it terrified me, and it was AIDS campaign. Everywhere you would go, to the shop, the stickers on the wall were HIV. The radio. I even remember the song, I can hum the song for HIV, and that's something you had when you're like 6, 7, and it's still ringing in your head. But that's how aggressive the government came down with HIV, right? And it instilled the fear. I didn't even know what sex was, but I knew you needed a condom. I knew neither the condom nor the sex, but I knew you needed to have sex, you need a condom. It was everywhere, in the market, literally. In the TV, there were advertisements for, so you always used to, I even used to not trust. You know, you're not using it, but it's out there. And that is the kind of aggressive advocacy and awareness we need with gender-based violence right now. If you're saying between 2016 and now 500 women have died, those are reported cases. That is just one person doing their data analysis. What I'm telling you, even as I was following up on femicide cases, as far as just the beginning of this month, I thought only 22 women died. Another person who followed all the cases proved to me that 30 women died. While they were proving to me 30 women died, somebody was killed in the back end of where I work. I don't know whether you saw that video, because I went to rescue somebody and she had already been killed. All right, so, and now when I was talking to the women around them, they were telling me, oh, hata kuna mama mwingine alikufa hapa. And I was like, what are you telling me right now? Like, women are just dying out here like chicken. And for me, it keeps on reminding me how much these cases don't get reported. So we're looking at 30 cases. If, for example, the way COVID came, and I think we were all there, and you could hear 19 people have died. Do you remember the panic you felt? So 30 women died in January. Why is there no panic? Why is this not being seen as the pandemic that it is? If it is Ebola that was in this country, and we said one person is dying every day, we would be in a state of fear. But we are not. We're okay. I mean, just another woman dead. And so when I say we need an aggressive push from the government, on radio, on TV, wacheni thulma za kijamii. Unajua, like, let's leave this. Before I came here, and as I was telling you, and I don't like doing this because I feel like this is so traumatic, but I was handling a case of a 2-year-old who was defiled. And sometimes I listen to these things and my head cannot wrap itself around it. Yesterday when I was in the office, I just walked into the office and I looked at the reception and I saw children and I was like, God, please let these children be accompanying their mother for something else. Let it be they're coming for fees to even ask, but God, don't let it be defilement. And I just passed and I was just telling us, please, God. And I went to the office and lo and behold, it was defilement. And sometimes I don't even want to post because I just say don't post because I'm like, I feel like everything we handle is so traumatic and it happens every day that I'm even terrified of traumatizing the GP, you know, because I'm like, this thing is more real than you think. Yeah. And so no, the awareness is not there. I don't believe it's there. I don't believe it's enough. If it was enough, then the numbers would be coming down. But look at it. Every day, it's something even wilder. So when the government underfunds hospital, it also affects GBV. So we have all this interconnect. How much do people have to be beaten or killed or raped or molested or defiled for the government to be like, gender-based violence is a national crisis? And what do we do? How then do we tackle it? Have you seen anything from the government? They gave a statement 3 weeks ago, and now that is it. The president of this nation has not addressed the femicide crisis. Then what? You had 10,000 people on the street marching. We had a list of names. Silence. It's crickets for me.
It is clear that you bear a very big burden, both for especially for your clients, and then they come to you with a hope that you can make everything right. And like you're saying, sometimes it's made even more difficult. Like you're saying, you send someone to the hospital, they come back with one ARV, and then what exactly are you supposed to do? So what would you say is the greatest challenge of all of this?
Nothing is solved without money. When you come to me and you want services that are not funded, to take you to hospital means I need money. To take you to a police station means I need money. Whether I'll be using a boda or I'll, all these things. So funding is a challenge that we work around. We are very grateful to the Kenyan public because when we appeal, they come through. But yeah, everything mounts back to funding. Even some of these issues come back to poverty. Yeah, they're all interconnected.
Okay. Let's pivot a bit. Where does Usikimye end and Njeri start?
I'm a completely different entity from Usikimye. I have my own life. Or I try to get it sometime. Yeah.
Because your office is very different from our office.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we have to bring work home.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have to bring work home?
I have stopped. Okay. For me, bringing work home means I used to bring survivors to my house. Okay. Yeah, so I've stopped. I am setting, from last year, I started setting when I got sick because of the work. It is a sickness that made me stop. Let me just be sincere. So my therapist, thank you, Dr. Margaret Umeskia. Now, I started, she said, you have to put boundaries on your time because I feel like I do not know you anymore. There's no Njeri and Usikimye, so I need you to have Njeri. Be the fun person you used to be, used to laugh, used to go out with your friends. And yeah, I'm starting to I already am. I have certain boundaries that I don't negotiate. Picking up calls in the middle of the night, I have stopped because I wasn't getting enough sleep. Setting up time, not bringing work home. I'm being more present with other things.
Well, we appreciate the smile.
Thank you.
Okay. So this influence that you have with survivors, and they're able to, like you're saying, even call you in the middle of the night, they're able to come to you. You've created a very nice safe haven for them. So what do you talk to me about the influence, the power that you wield? It is a power that you wield because if I am trusting, you see, like you're saying, many people don't talk about it, and the unreported cases are so many, and it actually baffles me how the government can be able to calculate a dark figure without really addressing the dark figure. That's crazy. But if people are trusting you with your story, when people are coming to trust you with their experiences, they are being vulnerable to you. You're wielding a certain power over them. You are, in their heads, you are the Messiah. That is power that you're carrying.
Hey, this is the one you say, I never asked for none of this. I didn't ask for none of this. I believe that you decide what you do with the power that you're given and what you do. And for me, I believe my connection with survivors of GBV is the fact that I can provide a safe haven for them. Because I need you to understand that violence means that everything that is safe for you is taken away. And let me give you an example. We were robbed one time at work, violently, because they had a gun. And I remember being so terrified and thinking to myself, this is how I die. And all I wanted to do was to go home. Home where safety was, home where peace is, home where nobody can come. And, I know a thief can come, but at this point, you just want to go home. It's just the same way a child wants their mom. Or when there's certain times when you're like, I want my mom. And it doesn't make sense for you to want your mom. So can you imagine a survivor of violence, especially intimate partner violence, where you're being violated at home? Where is your safe space if it has been taken away from you? If the thought of going home starts haunting you because this is where I'll be beaten, this is where I will be, molested, or this is where I will go through so many things. So the idea for me as somebody who is in this is to create a safe space where people can feel safe. And if that is what I am doing, then
you go, girl. You go. Okay. So when you started in 2019, what can you say is the relationship between how the conversation is changing now? Has it actually changed? What is going on in the conversation in the sphere about gender-based violence?
I feel like people on social media, not all of them, some of them, have gotten to understand, have gotten to know that there is help available, which I think was the whole context of Usikimye, for people to understand that there are referral pathways, that wherever you are, there is actually help. You may not know about it, but this is help which is available. And I feel like the reason I'm even sitting here is because social media has been able to amplify the voice that we do, to make it clear to most people that, hey, help is available. And I think on that front, we are doing a good job. Yeah.
Sticking with social media, with everything, there is a positive and there's a negative. We revert again to femicide. So the conversations about saying their name and all that resulted to very nasty things being said online. And like I said, my life has now been quantified to a slice of pizza, again, courtesy of social media. And that video gathered so many supporters. And I was having that discussion with my friends, and we were saying, I think it's time we have conversations at the therapist of interactions, because you realize how much you really didn't know your friends. These are people you've known all your life, and then certain topics, they're like, that is how you think. Okay.
It's scary. Actually, I don't think a certain demographic, I'm trying to avoid using the word men, I understand that the things they say, how horrible they are, and they're saying it to you. And when you ask them, do you know what you just said? And they're like, oh, you're actually a woman and you're not one of the boys. And it's clear that I do not understand. I don't understand this anger, this rage, which they should be directing at the people who they should be angry at. If systems are not working, if there is no work, if there's unemployment, if murder rates are going up, who is the person who you should be looking at? No, the person is the government, but look at them. All this anger and ire, why is it being turned onto women? I don't understand that. Men keep on saying they're unheard. They're hurting, they're unheard. Who do you want to hear you? If the people you want, if it is women that you want to hear, you want to hurt us. And in the middle of hurting us, you still want us to hear you. I mean, make it make sense. Sometimes I want to have conversations with men and ask them, who do you want to help you? Because you created this mess. We are laboring for it. We are asking. It's not a gender war. We're just simply telling you, don't kill us. Don't kill us. Don't kill women. And when I say don't kill women, I'm not saying men are not being killed. Why is that so complex? And why is it that when women are gathering together to speak about their issues, you come with your issues? First of all, you minimize the issues we are talking about. And then you also want us to bear the burden of carrying your issues. I tell people, when men are killed, do you know who goes about advocating for men? It's still women. It is still us. We bear the burden. We carry the labor. But you still don't want to treat us as human. I just need you to see me in the full spectrum of my humanity, not as a mom. Which is why when you ask me who am I didn't start with a mom. Because that is not just who I am. I am a lot of things, a lot of aspects. I am Njeri, the executive director of Usikimye. I am Njeri, who is a friend to people. I am Njeri before I am a mother. My name is Njeri, right? I didn't come here and you call me mom. So don't respect me because I'm somebody's mother or somebody's daughter, somebody's sister. Respect me because I am a human just like you, deserving of the full human rights as such as you. That's it. That's simply the message. And if you don't see me in my full humanity, then you diminish me to something else. That's why you look at me and you see a slice of pizza. You say that if for pizza you will kill me. Literally, I've seen calls to kill me on Twitter. And the first time I read it, I was like, oh my God. Why would somebody say if Njeri Migwi is killed, that is now femicide properly? And I was like, wow. The hate doesn't make sense. This is a cake, right? If I want to slice my slice, it doesn't take away your slice. It just means I want mine. Give me what is mine. Give me my full humanity. That's all. I'm not asking you to reduce your humanity. I'm just saying, give me what is mine.
Okay. Let's focus on victim blaming. I can see your eyes rolling, which is why I want you to say these things, and I want us to understand why exactly, if we're talking about femicide, all of a sudden it's my fault. If we can't take away the fact that other people need to be included too. We've agreed we don't want to focus on the gender war. We've agreed it's not about all of us. We're simply saying this is our space. We are claiming certain issues are happening to us, but then all of a sudden the conversation shifts. It becomes, it is your fault. You deserve to die. And when the Starlet Wahoo case was all over social media, there's a classmate of mine who said that if she had sold it for cheaper, she would still be alive. And I remember that comment in exact words, the exact time it was sent, because that is the most inhuman thing I've ever had. Forget other killings, like you're talking about the genocides in Rwanda and everywhere, but that was the most inhuman thing I've ever had. So victim blaming, why?
Let me first start with these killings have made me lose friends. And because I don't understand. I am trying to understand. You know, sometimes you're like, okay, the problem with empathy is you also want to understand this other person. Why would you say these things? It doesn't make sense to me. I'm in that space where being a decent human is just that. It's just being a decent human. There is nothing that supersedes decency. Just because you don't know me, when your friend says, hata nimeshindwa kitu ya kusema, let me tell you, there is no reason for anyone to be killed. Period. Like, nothing. The 70-year-old woman who was killed in Kirinyaga, why was she killed? Was she asking for it? Was she asking for money? Then why was she killed? The 55-year-old woman who was living in the church on her way to her house, and she was killed and her body mutilated. Was she asking for it? Who was asking for it? The two-weeks-old baby that was killed, raped and killed, was she asking for it? 80% of femicide cases occur in the safety of our homes by people we love. Not anyone. If your morality says I don't deserve to live because I do sex work, then your morality be damned. Airbnbs do not kill, murderers do. And let's make that clear. Every person is deserving to be here. Today you will advocate for women who go to Airbnbs to be killed. Tomorrow the same people you're advocating to be killed, you will be killed too. Because what is the difference? When we see bodies of young men in River Yala, we don't know why they were killed. We sympathize, because that is what humanity looks like. When somebody being killed does not shock you, and the first thing you feel, and then you take your pen, which is now your smartphone, and having a smartphone that not a smart person make, and you click, 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 and you start writing victim blaming narratives, I will look at it, and when you're killed, I will not speak up, because you didn't speak up for me. And that is how we lose all our humanity. There is red pill culture and incel culture that has gotten to our young people, our young men, being led by the likes of Amerix and Kibe. And you listen to these people, and they have put in a hatred of women for you to see women as dehumanizing people. And if you love women or you treat women in a certain way, you're called a simp. Let me tell you, you'd rather be a simp, my friend. That's all. I don't have anything else to say. I'm still so angry. See the humanity of people.
Okay. So what is that one aspect, or what are those aspects that you think about gender-based violence that are overlooked?
Children growing up in violent homes. We don't see children. Are they humanity? Children see, monkey do, right? Isn't that what we say? So when children grow up seeing their mother being beaten or their father being, abused or whatever, what do you think these children see? And how do you think they become adults? Can we just raise children that don't require therapy when they're adults? Because not all children will have the availability of therapy. Can we just raise children with love and kindness? Can we walk away? Can we not teach the next generation that is coming up that violence is the way we resolve issues? Also, can we not stop beating children?
Interesting. I want to pick your brain on that.
For me, that is too.
A few months ago, BBC had this video about corporal punishment. And one of the things they focused on was that many Africans, actually just many people, genuinely believe that African children learn through the skin. That for your child to understand what you say, you have to beat, you have to pinch, you have to inflict pain. They did. So it is part of violence. It is generally part of the larger scale of violence. Does it still fall with the aspect that is overlooked?
Yes, because one of the aspects of gender-based violence is child abuse. Child abuse doesn't generally end at defilement or, Child violence is also children who are brought into the office have been so badly beaten or abused. Children deserve full autonomy. I have a very simple scale. Does this child understand why you beat them? No. Then why are you beating them? Does this child understand why you're beating them? Then the answer is yes. Then why are you beating them when you could have actually spoken to them? Children are born without knowing anything, do they? That's why they cry, because, hello, it's a different environment. So, a clean slate. That child is given to you. That child is in the house. That child is curious because this is a new world. It's a new environment. We're learning, right? So the child comes and finds me drinking water and pulls it. Doesn't know. And then the glass falls and then I get angry and I beat them.
The water spills, the glass breaks.
Yeah. And then I beat the child. What exactly have we accomplished? We have beaten the child. So the child knows that glasses are dangerous. Amma, what is the point? Because the child was curious. That's it. We are literally beating innovation out of children because you're beating curiosity out of children. There's a way of telling him, Baba, chuchapangi. Imagine beating a child because of a 200 glass. I always ask adults, do you like being shouted at? Most adults say no. So why do we shout at children? Do you like being beaten? You came to the office today. You've probably made a few mistakes along the course of your work. Why are you beaten? Would you have liked to be beaten?
No.
Then why do we assume children should be beaten? It's that simple, really. Imagine there is so much teaching in tenderness and love and care. It doesn't make your child a brat. It just makes them understand that the world is not that dangerous. I am a parent that actually does gentle parenting. My child is a teenager. And if I shout, they'll actually tell me. We don't shout here. We don't shout. Because that's what I taught them, right? We don't shout. In this house, we resolve issues. We sit down. I am angry. You did A, B, C, D. Why did you? Okay, I did that. I'm sorry. Can we not have a repeat of that? Cool. And that's how we've been doing it. And trust me, it works. I didn't realize, somebody's the one who mentioned and told me, how many times did your dad beat you? I was raised by my dad. And I'm like, maybe 2, 3 maximum. They're like, you really don't understand that you're a gentle parent. That's why it's so easy for you to gentle parent. No, really. I also know that what violence does to you is that it gives you and inflicts trauma. I don't want to be the mother that inflicts trauma on my children. No. I am the mother that says sorry. Yeah, an African woman. African mom that actually says sorry. I do.
Latina.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's possible. It's possible. Yeah.
All right. So how do you maintain your resilience with all of this? Because I'm seated across from you, and the gravity of the things that you're saying have not even sunk yet. Some of the weight hasn't even sunk yet. So how do you wake up every morning and go to the office? How do you, like you're saying, you walk into the office, you find clients seated outside, their children, their women, and all that, and you're telling yourself, oh God, this is another one. These are more devastating and traumatizing stories. How do you rise up to the challenge?
By not wanting to escape. I wake up every morning and I think, what if I escape? What if I just run away one day and leave all this behind and just go and start a new life somewhere where nobody knows me? A nice country that people don't. And there are African countries that are not as inherently violent as Kenya. I've actually done my research, which tells you I actually think how many times I wake up and I think, today is the day I run away. But the truth is, you build resilience in yourself. In the course, sometimes. Today I took 2 children to school, 2 girls. And I was just listening. One of them comes from a very violent home. And I knew I had to take her to boarding school to just escape away from that family. The kids we take to school as an organization are kids who, that is their environment. Either they themselves have been abused or they come from a very violent background. And this education sometimes is the only way to run away. And when I look at their smile and the joy, and I'm like, let me do this. And sometimes when you see somebody whose life is changed and you're like, let me do this. It's not for the accolades, it's not for the fame. It's because I believe in one survivor at a time. That's the reason I wake up, because I know somebody somewhere might need help and you might be the person that help falls upon.
What are the common misconceptions and myths around gender-based violence? Some of them you hear and you're like, what?
Yeah, that my husband should beat me because he loves me. I met that and I was like, well, okay, iko shida. And I've not had it once or twice. So that is a thing, and it's very, very scary. Remember the interconnectedness I started with? That sex for pads actually exists. We're in 2024 and there are girls who have to sleep with men for pads. That kills me every time. Oh, we fight on so many fronts. The thing is, most people don't know, because sometimes we are privileged enough to afford 80 shillings to buy pads, but 80 shillings in the mnaitanga nini low income areas is not money that is there. And so we fight on so many fronts. That is one. That it exists. And is it GBV? Yes. Because what business does a 12-year-old have to do to sleep with somebody so that she can get pads? What do you call that?
I don't even think I have a word for it.
And it exists, and it's very much so.
Okay. Speak to the importance of community engagement and grassroots activism to ensure that we work together to talk about GBV, to create even better safe spaces and perhaps end it?
I will pivot back to femicide. When femicides are happening, I'm in a community. And I realized we are talking on social media, but are we really talking to the people? And so we did a community baraza with women and the community at large, even men. We started engaging. I think we did it for a week. We engaged with women, we engaged with men, and then we engaged with teen moms and then kids, because I felt like what is on social media is not what is on the ground. I need you to know that there's a disconnect sometimes, because many people, and in some of the communities I said, don't have smartphones. They have kabambes. And I think we need to really, really come back home to self and talk to people and just alert them and create that awareness. One, what are your referral pathways if this happens? What do you do? Talk to communities. And I remember when the BBC was doing, there was this documentary they were doing about gender-based violence, and they were talking to some men. I don't know whether you saw it, and those men were like, mi lazima nichape bibi yangu. How then do we start breaking these myths and mythos that surround all these issues? Because gender-based violence sometimes looks like it's abstract, but sometimes it's in a comment where you feel violated. Sometimes it is in you walking in town and you're catcalled, or you have to respond because you're so afraid of what will happen to you if you don't respond. Gender-based violence in this community is so aggressive that you could be in a queue waiting for a matatu and somebody gropes you, and you're too afraid to respond because you don't know what's going to happen to you. How then? We need a shift of narrative in the whole community. And that's why we need those safe spaces, and that's why we need to be able to, everybody should be an advocate. Me, I am an advocate of everybody changing. There is a space you occupy that you can change. One person cannot do it alone. But if we all join together, you talk to your friend talks to her friend, and that could be both male and female, anybody, all genders. We speak to each other. Maybe we can have a violence-free world. Will that be something? For you to just walk and not be afraid. People ask what would happen if, unfortunately, this is a thing. That was a question I was asked one time. What would happen if men were removed for like 24 hours? I say, I would walk at night. I would walk at night without any fear. Do you know how crazy that is? I want to walk at night when men are there and know that I'm still not going to be harmed. That's it.
So, as we come to the end, give us your parting shot.
Together, you and I can end gender-based violence. It's that simple, really.
Thank you for having us, Njeri.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for taking time to come down.